It is another Light News Radio. Self-empowerment for the whole human being. The place where sick and tired is no longer of oneself. Featuring your host, Dr. Richard Jelisich, and co-host Deirdre Layton. Together, they finish each other's sentences, laugh, and take you from feeling hopeless to overjoyed to rock your world. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. J and Deirdre.
Welcome, fellow light travelers, to Light News Radio, Realms of Self-Empowerment. Now we are broadcasting 4 shows per month, 2 one-hour shows with our amazing guests, and 2 half-hour shows, and you get just Deirdre and I. Woohoo! I'm Dr. J, and my co-host is the amazing, talented, skillful, happy soul, Deirdre. And she and I are here to stimulate your spiritual development, offer some mental floss for better thinking, and self-empowerment. So today's show, we're going to discuss the power of choice, how you always have a choice through free will to respond to life's situations. We invite you to live call in now and live chat. Things are really getting exciting for Light News Radio, where we can have live interaction with our listeners. Our website is lightnews.org. Come aboard our beam of light and enlighten your load as we travel the waves of knowledge and wisdom for the next half hour. How you doing, Deirdre?
You know what? I'm I realize that I'm saying that again. You know what? But I'm actually doing pretty good. I had a lovely friend come by this morning and do some energy work with me, and it's exactly what I needed. So,
yeah, I was wondering how that was going to work, because when you said you were getting some reflexology, I thought you were going to her, and I thought, wow, she must really be traveling. And I didn't think that Bev would come to you. Deirdre and I have some amazing, very talented friends who, by their nature, are very tuned in spiritually. So not only do they know the muscles and the fascia and the techniques mechanically, shall we say, they intuitively know just what to do. So how was your session?
It was good. It was something I really needed. So, yeah. So I'm glad it's done, and I'm set, and I'm good, and everything is a go. So it's nice, because I tell you, I needed it. So there you go.
Yeah. Sometimes I need the sledgehammer on my shoulders to break up those bricks I'm carrying around. Sometimes,
Yeah. We all live busy lives, listeners, and sometimes, we just don't take the time for ourselves, and so you got to do it. And I'm doing it because we, like our show is the power of choice, and moving forward and all kinds of things, and this past 2 weeks for me has been all about that. So, if you've got questions for us, you're welcome to call us at 212-486-290921, or visit us, on email is info@lightnews.org. But what I was going to say is we've got our busy show today, and I still have a lot of brain fog. So, listeners, I don't know if you know, but I was in an auto accident a week or so ago, and so I'm struggling with certain things that are so simple that the normal person, or even me, would be able to do. And so,
true.
Power to choose. You gotta really know.
Because Deirdre really is a multitasker, and she's super well organized and has a lot of things on the go. And so she's like that juggler that you see that can take the 7 or the 9 balls, and they're all moving. And they say, how do they do that? Well, some people have those skills. So, Deirdre was struck from the rear by a car who did not slow down when Deirdre did. And so this is a big problem, because you don't know that these things are going to happen until they happen. And then you have what the chiropractors call rapid acceleration deceleration, which has all the tissue damage that happens. And then there's also the psychological stuff. Oh, why now? Why me? Then what happened to the car? And so all these things completely reset you, because then you have to start thinking about, I got to deal with the car. I got to deal with insurance. I got to deal with this. Got to deal with the person that hit me. And it just completely resets you. And so it's really hard in those times to think, oh yeah, I have the power to choose, because Sometimes we get angry. We say, well, I didn't choose to get hit in the back end of my car, right? And then if a spiritual person says, Deirdre, what do you think is happening in your life that someone would strike your car from the rear and that they would total your car? Well, Deirdre, what lesson do you think you're going to learn out of
Well,
all of this?
it's funny because I have a dear friend who immediately called me to discuss that with me, and that was kind of interesting because the way that it happened, it was I'm going down the road, I'm slowing down for a light, and I'm on a highway, and I look in my rearview mirror and I can see exactly what's going to unfold, and there was nothing I could do about it. So it was interesting because we have choices, and I made the choice to brace myself, which apparently probably wasn't the best thing to do because the doctors have told me if I hadn't known what was going to happen, I probably would have been more relaxed, which would have made things not quite so tense. But needless to say, I'm choosing to move forward, and I think that I got a really cool message from it, even though it's not what I had expected to hear. But I woke up a day or so ago and I had this knowledge that, it's not about looking backwards at what you haven't accomplished, but to move forward in what you have accomplished. And a big part of that is letting go of the past.
Yeah.
So, there are, even though it's a crappy way for me to get that message, it's still a very powerful message. So I am taking it as a blessing. I am taking the message as a positive. So it then turns the whole situation around, and I choose in that moment to embrace what's going on and work through it.
It's so difficult because you were telling me, I think it was this morning or yesterday, you were feeling so emotional and a whole bunch of things were kind of flooding over you, which is what I got out of what you were saying.
Yes.
And again, it's so hard that when those emotional moments come and somebody else says, well, you always have the power to choose. But you really do. And so, I wanted to have that topic today. You and I could discuss because some of us, we feel disempowered by the cacophony and the chaos that swirls around us.
It's true. It's true. We get caught up in it. We, as things are much more faster paced and more intense, we seem to get caught up in it. And sometimes we, choose not to make the changes, or we have less time to make the changes in between what's going on.
Exactly. So, what can we do? Deirdre, I know you said a little brain fog, but, but what do you think of just when we take the moment to make a choice, like to say, well, now, wait a minute, do I have a choice? Isn't that part of self-empowerment that you actually make the time to say, well, do I have a choice here?
Oh, it is so much an empowering moment because once you, once you make that choice and once you put your step forward into that, you are totally empowering yourself. Now, you might hesitate, you might second guess yourself, but it's nothing to do with, it's about being in the moment that you make the choice. It's about being in the moment to make that decision. And it's interesting. I'm getting all kinds of your texts, Richard, right now that you probably sent me hours ago.
Well, because I chose to.
Sorry, if the listeners are hearing ting-tinging in the background, that's what it is. But what I was going to say is, that power to choose empowers you because you then are taking control of what your actions are and what the situation is. And it's empowering to be able to do that, to be able to say, okay, this is what's going on in my life at this moment. I may be in a crisis of self, but I can choose to do something to help me with it.
Exactly.
And that's what, I work with my clients on the life coaching side, and that's what I do is I work with them to try and help them find the things that are going on in their life and what they can really have a choice and hold on to and move forward with to help them get through what they're going through.
Exactly. And, how do you choose that? Like there's great saints, like I really like Paramahansa Yogananda. Some of our listeners don't have no idea who that is, but he was a really cool guru that came from India on the request of his teacher, and he passed in 1952. And he talks about living fearlessly. And one of his statements is, "No sensation or mental torture can affect you if the mind is dissociated from it and anchored in the peace and joy of God." Now, sometimes when people see that, they go, "Oh, it's a religious statement." Well, not really. It's just a spiritual statement to say that, we really are more than just these physical bodies. But I think what happens in these days is we are so overcome by technology that we've confused technology with advancement or being advanced, and that we're generally not that mature spiritually in order to be able to handle all of these stresses that we have nowadays. So I think that, with a lot of inner awakening, which Deirdre and I talk about all the time, we talk about self-empowerment and doing spiritual practices and things like that, which is to strengthen the mind so that you do realize you do have a choice. You do have choices. Yes. You really can choose your reactions.
Yes. And I think sometimes that's really hard because you get caught up in the moment. So I suggest to people when they feel that they're in that midst of energy that is just feeling so intense and they just don't know what they're going to do, just to take a deep breath and to just for a moment, it doesn't even take 30 seconds, but to take a deep breath so that they can center themselves before they say something. My dad used to always say to me as a kid, he used to say, "Dee, stop. You're changing your feet," because I would say something and then I'd turn around and I say something else, and quite often I would get myself in so much trouble. And he would say, "You're changing feet. Just stop. Just stop for a minute. Take a breath. Think about what you're going to say." And as a kid, you go, "Yeah, right, whatever." But as an adult, I look back and I think, I don't know how many times he said it to me, but it resonates now. Thanks, Dad. But you've got to take that moment to stop, take a breath sometimes, think about what you're doing or what you're going to say or how you're going to react, but realize that you have the choice to either act out in a rage or act out in a peaceful way. You always have that choice. Everyone has free will of choice. So, it's to be able to choose, what works right. or for you, right?
Well, I was going to say, what do you think if the average person feels like they have to live up to all these unspoken, unwritten expectations? They have to be this, do that, look like this, and that we set these standards for ourselves that are impossible to achieve, and that we don't really become comfortable in our own skin, that like that second chakra, like what we do really is good enough, that we really are good people, that we really are doing good things.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Well, lots of people have a really hard time with that because of what society says. Society says keep up with the Joneses. The media says you're not a good this unless you can do that. Yeah. We're bombarded with it from the time we're born. And often we're not given the tools, or we're not given the permission to make choices that are our own.
Yeah, I think we're really hard on ourselves. Well,
I think so.
I think most of us are really hard on ourselves. I know I am for myself sometimes. I think you are too, to a certain extent. But I think your blessing for you is you were born a really happy soul. So I think you're able to kind of. Really, I think you were, and I think that you have the ability to kind of get yourself out of it. Plus, you have really good resolve, and I'm saying this to our listeners as an example. And by good resolve, Deirdre lives in Calgary. I live in San Diego, so Calgary's very close to the mountains. So Deirdre does get out of Dodge once in a while, but she does do it. She doesn't say, "Oh, I hope to do it," or "Maybe I'll do it." She really does go and recharge the batteries. So that's like walking your talk. And I think it's a way that you have that you can recenter, recalm yourself down, so that you can make good choices. But then, just like you said, sometimes we have those expectations like, I should know better. And then we become so hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that the higher level of awareness, like when we actually take the time to tune in and learn about ourselves, learn about a plug, your book, Psychology of the Chakras.
Oh, Eye of the Lotus.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eye of the Lotus. See, brain fog. Your book, Eye of the Lotus, talks about each one of the different chakras. Psychology of the Chakras talks about, Eye of the Lotus is Psychology of the Chakras. Right. Oh boy, real good brain fog. But what I'm also thinking about is your I Can Relate. So the plug here isn't supposed to be a plug, but it is anyhow. But what I'm saying is that when you can understand yourself and can look at what's going on in your life, you're able to step forward and into your power so much better. And you're able to, do things from a perspective of self-love.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. But I think we have a lot of problems of self-love equals arrogance, and I have a sister that is so good at taking care of herself, and she says, well, if I don't do it, who's going to? So, and I really admire that she takes the time. So sometimes I think, like when I'm laying in bed saying, I should be doing this, and I think, well, no, wait a minute. What would my sister say? And it's really true. If we don't take care of ourselves, who's going to?
Yeah. Well, and that's true, because you're the one that's in charge of this bio bodysuit. Nobody else is. That's right. If you don't take care of it, you will cause dis-ease, which will turn into dis-ease in the organs or the body or the mind, the soul, the spirit, whatever you want. But I think, I really think that people should find, and I shouldn't use the word should, but people should investigate looking at ways that help themselves move forward through any situation, whether that be meditation, a walk in the park, listening to some really kick-ass music, and just being honest with themselves.
Yeah, part of it is changing the energy, and part of it is higher levels of awareness.
Yes.
But a lot of times people think higher levels of awareness is just being more alert. And in a way that it is, but it's one of the hardest things to explain about spirituality is that as the chakras become stimulated and they awaken, a kind of a spiritual awareness also awakens within you. Now, it's not all roses and caramel candy and bliss and all. Sometimes it's a real pain in the ass because sometimes your awakening brings up stuff you don't want to look at. And you say, well, I thought this was supposed to be an awareness that was based in bliss. Well, yes, but if you've got something that's poisonous within you, like a belief system that's really not serving you, as you awaken, that's going to come up. and say, okay,
Yes.
well, what's your choice? What are you choosing? Are you going to choose to move beyond this, or are you going to choose to stay in it? And one of my teachers was real. He kind of had a tongue-in-cheek attitude about that. He said, well, for some people, we just say, well, see you next lifetime, because they didn't want to change some self-destructive behavior.
Well, and I think that in certain circumstances, then they're coming from a place of fear too, right?
Yeah.
And that would play a role in that they don't understand how to move forward from that, how to step out of fear and move forward. And I see it every day. I see people that are looking or striving for something and they don't know where to go. And when they do find something, they're scared to move forward in it because they don't know what the outcome's going to be. And so you get stuck in that vicious circle.
Yeah, exactly. And and what I also wanted to bring up is that every person is completely and spiritually connected. There's no such thing as not being connected. It's just that we become aware of that, what that connection is. So what that's a way of saying is you as a person, whoever you are that's listening, you're always going to create a circumstance that helps to what's called emancipate you from a lower level of belief system or being that's causing the suffering. It's just that we don't always look at it and say, well, gee, this is for my help. I really don't think so. But that's the way we're wired. We are wired as spirits to have these experiences that do liberate us from what is called illusion. And I know that sounds a lot like preaching, but this is almost 30 years of doing this work, talking that, in my opinion, this is how it really works.
Well, and the neat thing about it is that you're never given anything that you can't handle. Ever. Ever, ever. Even if you feel like you absolutely are not going to be able to handle it, that's a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to accept it.
Yeah, a lot of times we don't think so, right? Like we go, well, I don't think I was ready for this one. Well, actually, yeah, you are. But I mean, I'm stuttering a little bit too, Dee, because, you and I have been doing this work a long time. We've been teaching.
Yeah.
And you and I both come to these points where we go, WTF, about this situation. What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah. Yeah. So keep up your spiritual practice, whatever that might be. A walk in the park, meditation, going for coffee with friends, taking time to go to the spa for yourself. Find your balance. Then, if you have questions and concerns, run them by a friend. Run them by your partner, your loved one, someone who can help you work through it.
Right.
And then, on top of that, trust what you feel in your heart. It's always the winning choice if you come from a place of love and compassion within your heart.
Because there's so many times, Dee, that we feel we haven't done enough, we haven't been enough, we haven't accomplished enough, we haven't made enough money, we haven't helped enough people, and we just have to get past that. If you're not content within yourself, how can you really help anybody else? And believe me, I'm not saying anything that I don't have to practice as much as any listener anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So, with all of that wonderful information out there for you listeners, we do have programs and workshops and things that you can sign up for.
By the armload, right? We only got 5 minutes left, Dee, but we got a raft of things going on.
Well, we do. And, maybe not all of them would resonate with some of the listeners, but maybe one or two would. And if it would help you to make a choice in your life, then, I know I sound like such a radio plug, but anyhow, it's the truth. Yeah. In Calgary this weekend, anyone who is in the area, or if you can't make it, you can always send me an email at info@lightnews, and the students are offering between 2 and 4 p.m. Free energy work and energy healings. So if you can't be there in person and you're in need of something, send me an email, send me your details, and we'll make sure that they work on you, and then we will send you their responses.
And your email is?
My email is info@lightnews.org, and you can also find it on our website, which is www.lightnews.org. Okay. So that being said, that will be Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. And I will be in Camrose on the 17th and 18th for their levels 12 and 13. And again, between 2 and 4 p.m., there will be free energy balancing and free energy healing. Right. Now, you're going to be offering in San Diego on, is it the 2nd or the 1st? The 1st and when are they offering the students there?
It's the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of every month at the Tara Healing Center. That's in Hillcrest, Central San Diego, from 7 to 9 p.m. 1st and 3rd Wednesday evening of every month. And I'm sending out an email blast today to let people know. And of course, you'll be able to go onto our website, onto the calendar page at lightnews.org, and you'll be able to see these free healing evenings twice a month in Calgary, twice a month in San Diego. So we're really getting rolling, and we're doing a lot of programs in Calgary next month that people from San Diego and anywhere in the world can Skype into. You don't have to physically be there to take our workshops. And we're going to do the same thing in November, December in San Diego, lots of workshops. You don't have to live there to be able to participate in our workshops.
That's right. If you want to learn the art of tarot card reading, we are offering that October 2nd. We are offering on the 29th of October to learn mediumship and billet reading, and Dr. Delitzsch just taught that many times. And we're holding a public event in Calgary on the 30th of October. It's called Doors to Highest Consciousness.
Higher consciousness.
It's a discourse and discussion with you. So people can Skype in or they can come in person. It's going to be from 10 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think we had decided on $30 a person for the whole day. So, anyone can join in and or Skype in. If you're interested in Skyping in, contact me at info@lightnews.org, and I can send you out the Skype link, and I can send you an invoice, and we can get you into that program. We're also really excited because we leave on the 22nd of September for Sedona, and this is our second annual Journey of the Sacred Heart, and it's full. So, mark it on your mark it in your calendar for next year, because I know that we will be doing it again.
Yeah.
So, the YouTube channel. What have you got going on your YouTube channel, Richard?
Weekly meditations that you can tune into. You can go to the Light News YouTube channel, and you can find that through our website as well. And every Monday, I publish a meditation for you to listen to and to use as you like. And also, I just wanted to say before I sign off here is that next week, September 14th, we have Paula Jackson, who has been a medical consultant but does specialty in Reiki and has had her methodology scientifically established, studied, and has gotten a patent for using this method in industry. So that's going to be a kick-ass interview next Wednesday, September the 14th. And as usual, if you can't make any of our live radio programs, they are all available to you on Spreaker. That's Speaker with an R, Spreaker, which you can also find through lightnews.org website. So,
and
go ahead, Dee.
I was just going to add to that, if you feel like you would like to be a guest on our show, send us an email or give us a shout at 877-242-5721.
We are always so grateful to you listeners, remembering that these shows are live, but they're also downloadable, and you can listen to them, download them to your device as well, and use them as inspiration for your life to empower yourself. So thank you so much for listening to Light News Radio, Realms of Self-Empowerment. I'm your host, Dr. J, and my amazing co-host is Deirdre. And so check out our website, calendar of events at lightnews.org, or call 877-242-5721. And of course, may the principles of harmlessness and compassion be the ever-constant guide of your every intention, your every thought, and your every action. And so it is, and so it shall be. It is done. Stay attuned, everyone.
Thank you for joining Light News Radio, where you are self-empowered for your whole being. Connect with us at www.lightnews.org.